All right, so now we finished Pavlov and his classical conditioning, and now we're moving on to John Watson. And John Watson followed Pavlov. He, agreed with all the classical conditioning data that came up, but he kind of made this arrogant proclamation that if you give him your child, he could make that child anything he wants him to be. He actually can make him love the things that he hates and hates the things that he loves. And he went about actually trying to prove that, and he kind of sort of did. Very, very scary. But anyway, so emotional conditioning is what he was focusing on. All right, so when we're looking at that classical conditioning, it's conditioned emotional response, and what he did is he advertised for a little boy, for a toddler, to be able to be brought to his lab. We'd never be able to do this today. Anyway, so he sets mom on her way, and he puts this little white rat in front of little Albert. Now remember, he's trying to condition little Albert to do the opposite of what his initial reaction is. So little Albert is sitting here playing with this white rat, so we know that he enjoys this white rat. So what John Watson is going to do is he's going to set out to try to change that. So he's going to take it from I'm enjoying this into it's traumatizing me. So every time he put the little white rat in front of little Albert, he would go behind him with a metal rod and slap it on the table, making a huge noise, which would scare little Albert. So I want you to picture, we're conditioning, we're bringing together two stimuli. So with little Albert, it was the rat, I reach for it, bang, rat, bang, rat, bang, until pretty soon when he put that rat in front of little Albert began to be terrified. And so what he's doing is he's taking this thing the little boy was enjoying and he's changing it. So if you hate something, he can make you love it. If it brings you joy, he can make you bring sadness. And if you fear something, you can actually turn it into excitement. So he actually turned excitement into fear with little Albert. Now, he was caught having an affair with his assistant, a picture of them now, and so he was fired. And here's what's really scary is the career field he chose after that. So remember, he's trying to make us love things that we hate. We're trying to have this connection between an item, a thing, an event, and our emotions. And so he went into the career of advertising. And if you look at advertising, you'll see there's specific things, whether it's the person driving the car or the truck or the food or the children with the toys, you'll see that it makes you desire it somehow. And so he did this through conditioning. So talk about dangerous. All right, so let's look at classical conditioning. Remember, we had that before and the after. And at first the rat did nothing, but then there was a loud noise that made him scared. And so after doing rat noise, rat booms, cry, rat boom, cry, rat boom, cry, so many times, pretty soon you just had to show the child the rat, and then they began to cry or have fear. Now, what happened with little Albert was bigger than just that. Sometimes events can be so traumatic that we react to things that weren't the original stimulus. Now remember, he was afraid of the white rat. He was so traumatized by this event that what he did was he began to generalize. So now with little Albert, if I bring in a white dog, a white cat, if I bring in a fur coat that's white, if I have a beard, if I bring in Santa Claus, he has generalized that fear. So generalization is simply reacting in the same way that you did to the original stimulus. So instead of just the rat, it was everything white and furry. And it actually, until his death, this remained true. All right, so when we're looking at stimulus discrimination, though, stimulus discrimination is going to discuss only reacting to that actual item. So if he was explaining or just using discrimination, little Albert would only react to the white rat. He would not react to any other fur. All right, so that is looking at stimulus generalization and discrimination through the eyes of this poor little baby, little Albert. Thanks, John Watson.